Hey guys, all right, had a few technical difficulties here. We're gonna be doing asthma, allergies, and answers tonight. Let's see here. All right, and if we can give me some thumbs up just to let me know that we're live. All right, asthma, allergies, and answers. I was gonna do this on my computer, but it's saying I need to update Firefox and Mozilla and all that business, so we're just going from a phone, and I'm hoping that you guys can see me. Anyway, I don't see anything on here, so I'm gonna do my best. It says I'm live, so let's do this. Asthma, allergies, and answers. Where do we start? So, man, I sure hope this is live. We're gonna start with immune systems. When you think allergies and asthma, I see all the time it's like that's just a foregone conclusion that your kids are gonna have allergies, that all kids suffer with allergies, so it's just part of growing up, it's part of being a kid, it's just gonna have to happen. And hold on, I'm just gonna see, I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna stop this and restart this just to make sure that I'm actually live, because I have no way of knowing, no feed whatsoever. Hold on, let's see here. All right, no, Cheyenne, you're watching. Okay, now I can see it. I got it out there. So I get this every day. I get kids all the time with sensory issues, ADD, ADHD, digestive issues, and these things. But also, we get a lot of children with immune issues, and it's one of the top things to see kids for outside of ear infections and things like this. So if you're watching, if you know somebody has asthma, allergies, and just looking for some answers, looking for maybe a different direction, go ahead and share this video now, because we'll tag as many people in it as we can. That way our reach is bigger. And if you're watching now, go ahead and give me a thumbs up just to let me know. I see you there, Cheyenne. You're watching now. So this is one of my favorite subjects, just because I think we get really, really good results in our office. It's one of the things that I see turn around pretty quickly in our office for most of the kiddos that we serve. But when you look at allergies and asthma, and just immune issues in general, it is just that. It's immune issues. And you got to go back and you got to ask yourself, why is this child having, such a stressed out, tapped out, not getting stronger immune system? And there's lots of different reasons for that. And I'm going to dig into some of those tonight. But if that's you, then you're in the right place. And so I'm going to start off with just allergies in general. The reason we picked this topic this season, because spring is here. The time changes next Saturday. Kids are going to be outdoors. We got cold weather, hot weather. The wind's blowing more. We got all the pollen and the cedar and all the mold and all those kinds of things. And people just say, well, it's just that time of the year. It's just going to happen for my child. And they're sick every time, this year. And they got constant runny, snotty noses. And we know we're going to be dragging to the pediatrician. We're going to be getting antibiotics. We're going to have sinus infections. And we're just going to suffer. We're going to be using, the inhalers and things that much more. So this is why we're sharing this topic right now. Second thing is this. The reason we're doing this as a Facebook Live and not necessarily an event is because people think this is so flippin' normal. They just think it's normal. Like, your kids are just going to have allergies. Every child has it, so we might as well just, face it, grunt it, bear it. It's just genetics. My mom had allergies, my dad had allergies. Now I have allergies, and now they're going to have allergies. And it keeps rolling that way. And I can tell you that there is a better way. It's not genetics. It's not bad luck. It's not bad, genetics or anything like that. And we see results with older people too, not just kids. But I'll keep it kind of kid specific, because that's just kind of the practice that we have. But with allergies, you got to go back and you got to go to the cause. And the cause is their immune system is tapped out. It's not working. And most of that starts off early, even in the first year of life. And so they'll go on. A lot of these children, a lot of times they do have birth trauma from the very, very get-go. And so we lose that proprioception. We get a bunch of stress on that nervous system. So we got a nervous system that's already stressed, if it wasn't already stressed in utero. And so you got to understand that it's not just immunology, it's neuroimmunology. That means the brain is guiding and directing and controlling that that immune system. And so if that brain's tapped out, if it's already wired for stress, then that immune system's not going to engage like it's supposed to. And so then we have kids that, if they have proprioceptive issues or they can't latch, then what's going to happen is, they're not going to get breastfed. They're going to get formula fed, and that's dairy and that's sugar, and that's what they're raised on. And then from there, they start to get sick because they're not really getting their mom's immune system. They didn't get it through breast milk. So they're already one down right there. And so now we got a formula-fed kid. Then the first thing happens within 5 or 6 months. You know, they get their first ear infection. They'll get their first cold. They'll get their first flu, something like that. They'll get sick. They'll get RSV. They'll go in the hospital, get their first round of antibiotic. And what I want to tell you is 70 to 80% of your child's immune system is right there in their gut. The second brain or the gut is the immune system. 70, 80% of it is. And so when you give an antibiotic, yes, a lot of times you'll win that battle, but you won't win the war, because antibiotics are indiscriminate. They're going to kill off everything, guys. They're going to destroy everything in. And so you'll 3 weeks later, you'll have another reoccurring infection, and you'll give another antibiotic. And I'll give you a case in point, since I don't have a guest here tonight. I'm in my home library, and it's kind of disarray because they just moved my office. I'm having a third child, so they moved my office up here, so it's all crazy. But I don't know, just complete ADD there. But they're indiscriminate. They're going to kill off everything. And so then you go in for your second, your third, your fourth, fifth round of antibiotic. I had a child today, as a case study, I guess that's my point, is that he had been on 8 rounds of antibiotics, and he had started at 6 months. He was already on a nebulizer. He was on Qvair and albuterol. He's on ranitidine for digestive issues. A lot of these are concomitant. You'll have digestive issues, immune issues, sleep issues. They all run together. But we're talking about allergies tonight. But this child was 11 months old, and they're going to the ENT. They're fixing to have their first appointment Thursday, and that was when the pediatrician made the referral. So his immune system's destroyed. He's had 8 rounds of antibiotics, so he has no normal gut flora any longer. And on top of that, every time he runs a fever, then your incidence for asthma goes way up. I saw one say it was like over 1,000% for asthma when you're giving your child an NSAID. And what's an NSAID? That's like Motrin or ibuprofen or Tylenol. Even 20%. I did the math on that because I couldn't find that study, but they say children 17% more likely if you've given them an antibiotic to have asthma. So if you've given them one antibiotic, they're 17% more likely to have asthma before the age of 3 or before the age of 5. So think about this child. 8 rounds of antibiotics. You give them 8 rounds of antibiotics, no telling what your incidence of asthma is going to be later on. NSAIDs during pregnancy. You'll see a lot of moms, they'll take NSAIDs too. 13% more likely to have asthma if you as a mom had to take something like Tylenol or something like for back pain. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks later on, for some natural things, some answers to do this, but just a minute after I get done with this. So you've given 8 rounds of antibiotics, you've given lots of NSAIDs, so we're already setting ourselves up for this. And yes, tubes work. Now the stuff's going to drain from the back. We're talking about ear infections now, but now it's going to drain the other way. But you never really did anything to strengthen that child's immune system. And so to go back and what we do in our office is you got to get stress off that nervous system. You got to get stress off that brain. And once you do that, then you can start to reestablish that immune system. And what I mean by reestablish it, no system in your body gets stronger by not being used. And I see so many moms and dads, and they're just fear-based. They live in fear that their child's going to run too high of a fever. They'll give them NSAIDs, they'll give them Tylenol, give them Motrin at 101. Clinically, not till 102.6 is actually a fever, and you're really not doing a whole lot of good till you get above 103. And I'll hear febrile seizures. There's no study out there that shows the long-term incidence of further seizures after a febrile seizure. It doesn't exist. But that's the scare tactic. That's the fear-mongering that's out there. And it's just these kids get just laden with NSAID after NSAID after NSAID, and that's why these moms, they'll have a child that has fever for a week. And that doesn't happen when a child's not given that, because their fever is going to spike, it's going to break, and then they're going to get well again. The second thing is this: if you're always interfering and you don't allow that to happen, and you don't allow them to have a spike of fever and let it go down, then their immune system's not getting any stronger. It's not ever getting the challenge that it needs. Immune system gets stronger just like a bicep gets stronger by being used, and when it's not being used, then it just stays weak. So every time they get sick, every time they get a sniffle, every time they're puny, then we give them something. We give them something to make them feel better, but they're not actually healing better. They're feeling less. And And as a result of that, they just get sick month in and month out and month in and month out. And then, most of these parents, what they do is they hope for that I'll just find the right doctor, the right pediatrician to give them the right, steroid, nebulizer, the right antibiotic, the right combination of meds, the right Zyrtec, the right Claritin to produce the outcome that I want. And I can tell you that, guys, that's not true, and they're not going to outgrow it. It's always going to be that they're just going to grow into something else. Maybe they're not as sick as much as they used to, but now they're puffing on a inhaler, and now they have ADHD because they've been on a steroid since they were 3 years old. And so now they just grow out of one thing and they grow into another. And now we have a child that, has sensory processing or ADD or ADHD. So when you look at it and you look at allergies and asthma, it's just a normal part of life. But I can tell you time in and time out that most of the kids I see with spectrum issues and ADD and ADHD issues, they had all the immune issues to begin with in the first place. They didn't latch. They didn't nurse. They had 10 different rounds. They've had tubes or multiple sets of tubes. They've had their adenoids, their tonsils. So a lot of these kiddos, they started with the immune challenges. They started with the sleep challenges. Their nervous system was stressed out and gassed out from the very beginning. So they don't sleep, they don't digest, and they don't have a good immune system. And those are the big three heavy hitters that I see. And then that kind of goes into a lot of these sensory issues that we see later on. So I don't ever take allergies lightly. When I have a mom comes in that's struggling and their child's having ear infections and they're chronically got a snotty nose, that's never anything to take lightly in my office, because I know if it's not addressed, if that immune system's not strengthened, if that stress on that nervous system that's causing that in the first place, I don't care how many holes we punch in the ears, how many drugs that we give them, they're still going to have that subluxation, they're still going to have that stress on that spinal cord, and it's going to develop and lead into other things as they get older. And so, I guess answers is, you got to quit trying to inhibit the body against its will. You got to quit interfering. The nervous system and the brain and the immune system, they don't need a whole lot of help from you guys. They need no interference. And that's what we do in chiropractic. That's what we preach. That's the truth we try to share all the time, is you're just going to have to let some of these things ride out. But you really need a well-adjusted child too. And you need a child that's been breastfed. And I'm not saying you can go back and do those things over again, but you got to start doing the right things. I was telling mom today, if you gave me this child and we fed them the way we feed them at our house and we adjust them the way we adjust our girls at our house, I guarantee you in 4 to 6 months, you would have a completely different child. And then when I handed this child back to you, you'd be amazed at how they were thriving and how they were getting along, and the snot wouldn't be pouring, they wouldn't be puny, you wouldn't be stressed, you wouldn't be worried about your child being sick all the time. And the only reason that is because we're doing something different. And the only reason we're doing something different is because we believe a different way. So if you ever want to have something different, you want to have a different result, you want to get a different outcome, then you will have to do something different. Just like I was talking to that mom today with the 8 ear infection or 8 antibiotics and the nebulizers and the ranitidine for digestive issues. The only reason she's ever going to do something different is because she starts to believe a different way. Instead of believing I'm going to find the right doctor, the right pediatrician, the right drug, the right silver bullet, the one-hit wonder that's going to, knock this out for the good. If you'll quit thinking that way, it's never going to happen. It's going to happen through good nutrition. It's going to happen through a well-adapting nervous system to the environment. Those are the big two that I see that are most missing out there. Is not good food, crappy diets, a lot of sugar, a lot of dairy. When I tell people you need to really cut out their yogurt and their cheese and their dairy, they just look at me like I'm crazy. You got to cut out their sugar. They can't eat, cheese nips and pretzels and just man-made box stuff. But that's a whole nother topic. But for strengthening the immune system, you're going to have to cut the sugar. You're going to have to cut the dairy out there. A lot of times you do have to cut the gluten and stuff later on because a lot of these kids are sensitive to it. The next thing is home remedies, things that we do when our kids do actually get, they don't have allergies, they're not sick very often. But things that I wrote down, we do a lot of raw honey at our office. We do apple cider vinegar. We do green smoothies. I think there's a video on here before with us doing a green smoothie. We do a lot of chicken soup when our kids get sick. There's carnosine. There's good immune boosting, bacteria killing properties of that. We do a lot of lemon, a lot of vitamin C, some eucalyptus oil. We mix that with coconut oil. Sometimes we'll rub it on their chest if you have that. That's another thing that you can do. I'm going to close that off there. You can put it in their bath water. Those are things to help them breathe better. There's lots of natural remedies like colloidal silver out there for the ears that you can do. But if you're not feeding your kids right, if you're not really super investing in their food, and that's what it is, it's absolutely an investment. You need to rethink that, because you're not going to get what you want. And if you're not getting shot, if they're not well adjusted, if they're not well adapted, if they're walking around in fight or flight, sympathetic dominance, or stress on their nervous system all the time, and that's never been checked, I'm telling you guys, you need to get them checked. You need to get them to our office or contact our office, and we'll hook you up with a nationalwellnessfoundation.org, and we can find them a pediatric chiropractor, because if they're walking around with stress on their nervous system all the time, they're never going to adapt to their environment. I don't care what the environment does. It can get cold, it can get hot, it can switch from the wind blowing out of the north to the south. It doesn't really matter. They should adapt to it. If they're not adapting like you think they should, and they're always sick, then I can guarantee you there's stress on the nervous system, and it's not adapting, and there's a reason why they're sick all the time. Outside of that, I know I've talked really fast. I'm really unorganized tonight. I got really stressed out with my computer not working, and I'm having to do this on the phone, on the computer. But I just want to empower you guys to think outside the box. There's other things out there besides antibiotics and aspirin and Tylenol and Motrin. And there's a better way out there. I know, I see it every day in my office. There's testimonial after testimonial after shared story after shared story of moms getting healthier kids as a result of chiropractic and changing what they're doing. It starts with the parents. If you got a parent that is just in love with drama and having a sick child, I hope that's not you. But your kids deserve to be healthy. God designed them to be healthy. They're not that much different than you. 20 years ago, we didn't have all the sickness and crazy allergies that we do today. It's just because we're doing a lot different stuff with our kids than we did 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And if you'll start changing that, then I guarantee you'll get a different outcome. And if you don't have a pediatric chiropractor, comment on there where you're at, and we'll do our best to help you find one. If you're in my area, we'd love to get some scans on them, check them out, see if there's any stress on their nervous system, certainly educate you on how to feed them better. We're here to help. Cheyenne, Brittany, these girls are amazing. They'll be more than happy to help you with anything that with paperwork or finding you a pediatric chiropractor. So I hope you have a good night. Hope you found some value in this. Sorry I talk so fast, but I do get excited about this stuff, and I just wanted to try to keep bringing value and content to you guys so you can have a healthy kids. There's nothing that I want more for them, my own family, as my little girls, to be super, super healthy and just rocking it out, doing the things that they really love, like roller skating and going to school and swimming and those kinds of things. So the last thing I want you to do is worry about the health of your child. So thanks so much. Comment in here if you have any questions. I'll stay up a little while, and I'm just going to play with my girls, but I'll answer those comments, and have a good night. Thanks.